your thoughts on the outcomes of Brexit. Speaking of that being, one of the major factors in Labour's loss last year. We'll keep this one a bit shorter, maybe. And what are your thoughts? Because I know obviously Grimsby is going to be massively affected by Brexit as a massive fish. Is it a city or a town? Grimsby.
It's a town and it won't really be affected by Brexit,
Oh, it
but
will be.
there's
It will be
all the
massively
huge,
because
oh my gosh, the campaign for Brexit in Grimsby about its fishing industry, about like taking back control of the waters is crazy. And it's like people need to move on. Like nobody's really a fisherman or fisherwoman
person.
here anymore.
Okay.
Like, it's a dead industry. It's like when the coal mines shut down and you have to replace that with something. So Grimsby and Cleethorpes got a lot of potential for like offshore wind energy and new technologies and stuff like that. Nobody's really embracing it. Instead, we're saying, how can we get the fishing industry back?
The
It's
thing is,
like,
I don't think the fishing industry is dead, but the problem is it's not worth a lot in terms of GDP, and agriculture's always been the lowest out of the three, agriculture, manufacturing, and services. And the fishing industry as a percentage of the country's GDP just isn't worth that much. And truth be told, we don't eat a lot of the some of the fish that we actually get on British shores. We kind of just trade it with the Scandinavian countries, really, where we get like salmon and stuff of them, and we give them the weird fish that people don't like eating here, and they do weird things to it, which I'm not going to talk about because I really don't like what they do with fish. And yeah, I thought Bengali
thing,
people were bad, but like Swedish people, man, you need to fix up. Like I've seen the stuff. I've seen the smells, man. It's not good.
I don't know about that one. I
Trust me,
think,
it's like some weird fermented fish thing, and
oh yeah,
like
I've heard about that.
trust me, like Bengali people do as well, yeah. But like ours is nowhere near as bad as theirs. Like I've had times where I've had to open every window in the house, yeah, and that fixes the problem. But well, with theirs, I don't think opening windows fixes it.
Um, I think the problem with kind of like why Grimsby was so pent up on the fishing industry and why Brexit happened and why it's still like such a huge part of discourse in everyday life now. And it only got more prominent and volatile as the years went on after the referendum is an aspect of nostalgia from people because I mean we've lost so much in the country. There's so many more people living in poverty. Like there's so many empty houses, buildings falling down, children's parks are just left to go to ruins. Like nothing to do. The high streets are shut down. Everything's boarded up, and people look back in nostalgia and they go, "Remember Grimsby when the fishing industry was alive and we had loads of independent shops and like we had stuff to do and caravan parks and like everything was open. Freeman Street was thriving, and people have voted as a kind of I, in my personal opinion, I think nostalgia and wanting kind of the perks of the
Yeah.
past has a lot to do with it
So
because people can't really see a way forward, like a way out of this. Like, how do we create new jobs when all of the industry's gone?
yeah, I mean, to be fair, to quote one of my favorite bands, Downplay, the question is, does this hole lead straight to hell? Because we have no idea what's going on, and we are falling straight through it. I mean, with Brexit, like, obviously this is very opinionated. You haven't come here to because I'm the BBC. What are your thoughts on the outcomes of Brexit? So I guess we've got three real outcomes, which is an extension, no deal, or some sort of deal. So if I gave you those as your three outcomes, what do you think is the most likely?
I think the most likely is no deal, because I don't think they've ever really been that bold about getting a deal. When the referendum result happened, I counted the votes, and it was
You
another
physically counted all of them.
traumatizing
You,
election night
oh,
for me.
were you there counting? Yeah,
I counted the votes as like an agent for the council,
a secret Labour
like
agent.
not for any political affiliation, just got like paid as like a job to do it.
Oh right, yeah.
And
Some people volunteered, some
I
people paid
remember
on it.
them,
Some people are volunteers, they count the votes, and some people are paid to do
yeah, I was paid to do it. So, and I remember like walking. I was a student. It was a hefty sum of money. I remember walking home at like 5 a.m. after counting all the votes and finding out like we've lost. I was really disheartened at first. I remember I just went and got a bottle of vodka and
it.
spent the entire day drunk.
Then did you
Um,
look at your bank balance
but
and were you happy?
well, yeah, I spent my payment from counting the votes.
Uh,
um, I think after that I wasn't too disheartened because I don't think that leaving the EU had to be like the awful thing it's become. I think if we'd have had a Labour government and left the EU, we could have worked out like really good policies and kept the ones that benefit both us and EU citizens, that like the Erasmus program, like freedom of movement, because like, who wants to queue for 4 hours to get into a European
Did
country?
you?
That's what we're gonna have to do
I
now.
did a video on it. There was like a guy who went to Amsterdam. No, yeah, to Amsterdam, and he complained about the airport wait, and he also did a separate tweet complaining about cyclists. And he goes, he had to wait in the slow queue, and it took him ages to get through. And then some people were saying actually that was the fast queue. It was just a long queue because a lot of people had gotten there. And I looked at the picture and I said that is the fast queue because I've been through that queue. And so he's very annoyed because he had to wait, and that's going to be common. Because I've seen the long queue, and you have to walk around loads as well to get through it. And yeah, it's gonna suck for a lot of people going on holiday next year or this year if you're extremely lucky. But yeah, like
Let's
so
hope. It's a bit of a futile point, really. Obviously, it's not like a major issue, but
it's not, but it's one of
it's
the
just a
perks that we feel. Like when you like it's a physical thing you can feel. Like when it comes to like buying like food and stuff, you don't really pay attention that much. But when it comes to like physically going on holiday and you can actually see the people in the slower queue, it does kind of have a thing. I think, anyways.
I've got to pay for your mistakes, people. But yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think it had to be this bad. But I really don't know what's going to happen.
All right,
But I don't think it's going to turn out entirely well.
there's some group of us in the multiverse who are still in the EU and probably not in a pandemic and enjoying life. But if I said, going back to the main point of the question is, if I gave you those three outcomes, an extension, no deal, or a deal, which one do you think is the most likely? What do you do? Go.
But the most likely is no deal at the minute.
Do you think they'll, with all the problems, of course, do you think they'll bank on a no deal?
Well, I mean, lots of people have said that we need an extension. Um, but even like so many people that voted leave. I don't know the numbers, but I did see it the other day that there's like a consensus on the fact that we need an extension because nobody's been able to negotiate because of coronavirus.
I think
But
that
they're refusing an extension because it's the one election promise that they're determined to keep is that we'll leave the EU. So we're just gonna crash out with no deal and hope for the best, I guess.
yeah, I've read that they're going to blame most of the damage on a no deal on the coronavirus, and that'd probably work
It's
to
a
be
good
honest.
get out clause for them.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's not our fault. There's a pandemic going on. It's like, how come they're doing okay? It's like, well, some say they may have had competent leaders. Who knows? So yeah, your thoughts on the outcome being a no deal. Um, do you know what? I'm not 100% sure. I think there's a potential for a deal to be on the table. I know Angela Merkel came out recently. There's something a video I covered. I think that went out yesterday, and she was talking about it, saying, the time for a deal has come and gone and blah blah blah. And I think it's just a feint thrown out by the EU. I think because Barnier also came out and said there's some leeway with the level playing field. So I think a deal was there because don't forget Boris Johnson caved the first time to get the withdrawal agreement through, where he turned Northern Ireland from a backstop into a front stop. If you remember that.
To be honest, it's quite controversial, but I actually don't invest that much time learning about Brexit. I do think it's a difficult topic to understand, and I'm much more interested in kind of like um, justice and rights and human rights and international affairs that aren't Brexit. So I've not really got that much to say on the issue. I'll let the rest of the country do the talking.
God, it sounds like a presser. Like when you get boxers fighting, it's like you can talk all this trash, but when it comes to Saturday, I'll let my fist do the talking. Like a wrestling promo. All right, we'll skip that one. So